Welcome to Headline Hub Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The turquoise waters off Sabah are tense, masking a growing unease beneath their calm surface. What appears peaceful from above hides a simmering conflict just below. On August 5, 2025, Philippine and Malaysian patrol boats cut through the waves, not as partners but as wary rivals, each crew alert to the slightest provocation. Recent encounters have been dangerously close, with ships shadowing each other for hours, their crews exchanging tense glances and terse radio messages. No shots fired, but the message is clear. A line is being drawn at sea, and both sides are unwilling to back down. This is more than a border dispute, it's a clash with deep historical roots now reawakened by new ambitions and old grievances. The Flashpoint, a Philippine Coast Guard ship challenging a Malaysian oil rig supply vessel, nearly sparked violence as both sides refused to yield. The calm has shattered, and uncertainty hangs over every patrol. Sailors now scan the horizon with a new sense of urgency, knowing that any encounter could spiral out of control. Both nations, key ASEAN members, now face off in vital sea lanes rich in oil and gas. Resources that fuel not just economies, but national pride and strategic ambitions. Every maneuver adds pressure, watched by a world wary of escalation. International media and analysts dissect every move, amplifying the tension on the global stage. The fragile relationship between Manila and Kuala Lumpur is fraying in public view, as diplomatic channels strain under the weight of public scrutiny and nationalist rhetoric. Military commanders are on high alert. A single miscalculation could ignite a crisis that neither side truly wants, but both are preparing for. What was once handled quietly is now a public standoff, with citizens on both sides rallying behind their flags and demanding action from their leaders. The waters off Sabah have become a symbol of strained friendship and a test of regional stability as national pride and security interests collide. The stakes are high, not just for the two nations but for all of Southeast Asia. Regional leaders watch anxiously, aware that any escalation could draw in neighbors and disrupt the fragile peace. The world is watching, wondering if this long-simmering dispute will finally boil over, and what the consequences might be for global trade and security. The South China Sea is now a powder keg, and the fuse is burning. As tensions mount, the question remains, who will make the next move, and will it be the spark that ignites the storm? This escalation began with words, not weapons. President Marcos Jr. has taken a bold public stance, declaring the Philippines' claim to Sabah with unprecedented assertiveness. Diplomatic notes are now pointed in public, rallying domestic support and signaling Manila's resolve. Malaysia fires back, calling the claims baseless and insisting Sabah's sovereignty is non-negotiable. Both sides take their arguments to international forums, turning a regional dispute into a global issue. The war of words is toxic, fueling nationalism and making compromise harder. Diplomatic channels remain open, but the tone is increasingly hostile. Each statement raises the stakes, backing leaders into corners. The risk that rhetoric will soon give way to action. For fishermen and traders navigating the waters between the southern Philippines and Sabah, every day brings a new wave of uncertainty and fear. The ongoing territorial dispute is not just a distant political issue, it's a daily, ever-present threat to their safety and survival. Filipino fishermen are often chased away from their traditional fishing grounds by Malaysian patrols, left unsure where it's safe to cast their nets or even drop anchor. Livelihoods that have been passed down for generations are now caught in the crossfire of a militarized zone, where the rules change with the tides. Local businesses on both sides of the border suffer as restrictions tighten, borders harden, and the once thriving trade slows to a trickle. In towns like Zamboanga and Sandakan, economic anxiety grows with each passing day, as shop owners and traders face dwindling customers and mounting bills. The conflict here isn't just about flags or territory. It's about empty storefronts, lost income, and dreams put on hold. In Sabah, memories of the 2013 Lahad Datu standoff still linger, fueling fears of renewed violence and instability in the region. Families with loved ones on both sides of the sea worry constantly, their lives overshadowed by anxiety and the threat of separation. The dispute divides communities that once shared deep cultural bonds, turning neighbors into strangers and friends into distant memories. The real cost is measured not just in lost income but in sleepless nights, frayed family ties, and the quiet despair that settles over entire villages. Ordinary people, fishermen, traders, mothers, and children, bear the brunt of geopolitical posturing, their voices often unheard. For these communities, peace and prosperity hang in the balance, as they wait and hope for calmer waters and a safer tomorrow. To understand today's crisis, look back to 1878. The Sultan of Sulu signed an agreement with British traders, lease or sale. That's the heart of the dispute. The Philippines insists it was a lease. Malaysia says it was a permanent cession. Annual payments, seen by Manila as rent, are viewed by Kuala Lumpur as a historical formality. For Filipinos, the claim is about correcting colonial injustice. For Malaysia, the case is closed. Sabah's people chose to join the Federation in 1963. One document, two realities, lease or sale, landlord or sovereign. This ambiguity has festered for nearly 150 years. The ghosts of colonial deals now haunt the South China Sea. Old arguments have returned, threatening to turn history into conflict. The past is not dead, it's steering today's crisis. Malaysia and the Philippines argue from different foundations. Malaysia cites self-determination. In 1963, Sabah's people chose Malaysia and the world recognized it. Annual payments to the Sultan's heirs are for Malaysia a goodwill gesture, not rent. The Philippines sees the issue as inheritance. Sovereignty can't be sold, only leased. Manila claims the 1878 agreement was a lease, and the payments prove ongoing ownership. These two truths, self-determination versus inherited sovereignty, are irreconcilable. Malaysia's case is political and democratic. The Philippines is historical and legalistic. Decades of diplomacy have failed because there's no middle ground. Both sides are entrenched, each convinced of their own history. The result, a diplomatic and legal deadlock. The dispute is not just about territory, but about identity and legitimacy. Neither side is willing to back down. The 2013 Lahad Datu standoff is a grim warning. Armed followers of the self-proclaimed Sultan of Sulu landed in Sabah, demanding recognition. The standoff turned violent. Malaysia responded with overwhelming force. Dozens died, including militants, security forces, and civilians. The incident shattered any illusion that the Sabah claim was harmless. Trust between the Philippines and Malaysia broke down. Kuala Lumpur blamed Manila for not stopping the militants. Manila faced a domestic crisis. The memory of violence lingers, hardening positions on both sides. For Malaysia, it's a reminder of vulnerability. For the Philippines, a lesson in the dangers of grievance. The scar remains, a constant reminder of how quickly disputes can spiral. The echoes of Lahad Datu are louder than ever. The risk of escalation is real and ever-present. The crisis is shaped by two contrasting leaders, each bringing a unique style and philosophy to the table. President Marcos Jr. projects strength, using bold public assertiveness to rally national support and apply pressure on Malaysia, making his intentions clear to both allies and rivals. His approach is calculated and deliberate, constantly testing the limits of diplomacy and risk as he seeks to gain leverage in a tense environment. Marcos Jr. believes a forceful stance will yield results, but it's a high-wire act that could easily backfire if not managed carefully. In Malaysia, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim prefers quiet, back-channel diplomacy, working behind the scenes to resolve issues without fanfare. His government is firm but measured, seeking to avoid inflaming passions or provoking unnecessary confrontation, always mindful of the delicate balance at play. Anwar's challenge is to appear strong and decisive at home while keeping the door open for dialogue and compromise with the Philippines. He wants to contain the dispute, not escalate it, aiming for stability and long-term peace in the region. The contrast is stark, public assertiveness versus quiet diplomacy. Two leaders navigating the same crisis with fundamentally different strategies. This clash of styles defines the current standoff, setting the tone for every negotiation and public statement. The outcome depends on whether either leader can step back from the brink, showing restraint and wisdom in the face of mounting pressure. Their choices will shape not just their own countries, but the region's future for years to come. The world waits and watches closely, eager to see which strategy will ultimately prevail and what it will mean for Southeast Asia. Tensions are fueling a rapid military buildup. The Philippines is acquiring new warships, jets, and coastal defenses, extending its reach near Sabah. Malaysia is modernizing its navy and air force, boosting its presence in Borneo. Each side sees its buildup as defensive, but the other views it as a threat. This security dilemma raises the risk of miscalculation. More ships and planes mean more chances for accidental clashes. Once blood is spilled, backing down becomes nearly impossible. The arms race makes the dispute more volatile than ever. Both nations are preparing for a future where force may decide the issue. The peace is now armed and fragile. The tools of war are gathering even if no one wants to use them. The Sabah dispute is now entangled in US-China rivalry. The Philippines deepens its alliance with the US, gaining military support and confidence. Malaysia balances ties with both Washington and Beijing, wary of being forced to choose sides. China, with its own South China Sea ambitions, benefits from ASEAN division. The involvement of great powers complicates every move. Neither superpower wants direct conflict, but both cast long shadows. Manila and Kuala Lumpur must now weigh every action for global implications. The dispute is no longer just bilateral, it's a piece of a larger chessboard. Regional unity is weakened, and solutions are harder to find. The world stage is watching, and the stakes are higher than ever. The Sabah showdown has reached a critical point. Assertive nationalism, military buildups, and great power politics have created a perfect storm. The risk of miscalculation is dangerously high. Robust crisis communication is urgently needed to prevent accidents. Leaders must tone down rhetoric and create space for quiet diplomacy. There is no military solution, only mutual loss. Joint development of disputed resources could turn conflict into cooperation. Such arrangements require political will, but offer a path to shared prosperity. The future of Sabah and regional peace rests with the choices of today's leaders. Dialogue and compromise are the only way forward. The world hopes reason will prevail over rhetoric and peace over war.